Last night I was uncomfortable, and Suzuki started talking to me about stuff. He's really cool. He's very helpful, you know. And yeah. As I wake up this morning, it's real easy to go through my dreams and go through the feelings and the interactions with people in town, and when you talk to them, and conversations you have when you talk to them. So it's real simple. You know, all you just got to understand is, like they have you here with your father, and you're on a crash crop, like back in the Dust Bowl days of Oklahoma. You're on a cash crop uh, area where they're doing wrong things with the planet. They have the stagnant water dam that's depleting the groundwater supply. They have the city below you that's a genocide zone for tribal warfare. It's been that way for a long time, and he just goes, he just assesses it really. You keep people fighting, and divided and fighting, as opposed to united in love of faith and religion. He goes, religion is not a corporation. Religion is a way of living. Religion is a humble understanding of eternity through faith in the infinite essence. All right, so you're not living religious lives. You're surrounded by people that are denied religious lives, or do not want to live religious lives because they're addicted to tribalistic competition. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. He goes, yeah, that's why that lady, you're harshing my buzz. Well, because she's in competition with Natalie. She's in competition with Amy. She's in competition with the brown girls over the resources with money. And so they don't want to hear it because, the attractive brown girls now get all the money and all the guys. It's like, well, that's been that way for a long ass time, right? Since the Egyptian Empire, right? You know what I'm saying? And so it's funny, but you like sit there and look at it and you're like going, well, these situations, the situation you're in right now, you need to look at yourself eternally and realize your conditions, what you're living in, is a result of your decisions spiritually over thousands of years, like Judy Krishnamurti used to talk about, 2,000 years. This is 2,000 years culmination of decisions the soul has accepted through the flesh. I was watching some of Nevada Smith yesterday, old Steve McQueen movies, and Tom Horn, and seeing those culminations of thousands of years of bad decisions coming into people running around with guns and shooting each other and owning the cattle and branding the cattle and mass murdering the other group that is more violent in the way that they have the cows and they have the horses and they fight over the land and the cows and the horses, right? Instead of just going, hey, religion, right? 2 and 2 is 4. An excellent driver, 20 minutes to Wagner. So they're keeping you agitated. And he goes, when you go over there and talk to your dad, it's because he keeps talking to Jesus and he's pissed off all the time. Oh yeah, like shit for Luck's Kate Blanchett daughter on The Missing. Right, there you go. And so, they're always pissed off, right? And so they're always pissed off. Because it's always that every time something goes wrong, okay. Damn it, we need more money. Damn it, I don't need these Mexicans coming in here and trying to come and steal things and from Mexico. And that's the way they think, okay. That's their thought process because of the archaic tribalism they've been bombarded with. You have to be drummed in your dear little ear from the time that you can hear. You have to be very carefully taught to hate the people that your relatives hate, right? And it's like, oh, son of a bitch, when's Valley High show up? You're going to have to do it or they ain't going to do it for you. They're assholes. Like, yeah. And I was sitting there thinking last night, I was like, I need my wife more now than ever. And if I was a rich and famous woman, which is probably most likely the case to be my wife, with this scientific manipulation they're doing to torture me, if I had the money that rich women have, I would be here tomorrow with my head in the back of this man in a nice, pick him up, take him to a nice place, put him in a nice bed with a nice bedroom with a porcelain bathtub with the salts, and I would put my head in his back every day and cry in it and just hug him and kiss him and rub his little shaved head and tell him how much I love him until he could recover. That's what I would do if I was a woman. But I'm not a woman, I'm a man. So I'm like, yeah, be nice if you could come and do that, and we could be in our hundreds and you could still put your little head into my chest and cry in my chest, and I could kiss you on the forehead and sit there and say, baby, it's been 40 something years since you came and to your senses and no longer a slummy, slow and dumb. So, baby, it's going to be all right, right? And so, and I'm like, yeah. So Suzuki talked me through all the torture last night, and he's pretty cool. And I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. He goes, it's going to be really neat to see how your body and your mind recover once the technology is used to spread the perfection of the Lord's Prayer, the eternal perfection of the beauty of the Messiah, that he's a real person, that these stories are based on reality and real people, and that these people can overcome horrible. He goes, you've already accomplished and improved more. He goes, even in Haile Selassie's or Jiddu Krishnamurti's time and my time and Sun Yat-sen's time, because they were never so conspiracized. I won't say well organized, because they're not well organized. They're a clusterfuck of aggressive, violent, genocidal, narcissistic insanity. So it's not well organized. It's a conspiratized addiction of corruption. And they've never been able to do this to this extent to the Messiah before. And this is it, because the technology which is artificial intelligence, is going to reflect actual intelligence because of the beauty of the Messiah. All right, so I sit there and say to myself, if this had been Haile Selassie, he'd be able to do what I'm doing right now. If this had been D.T. Suzuki or Sun Yat-sen or Jiddu Krishnamurti, he'd be able to do what I'm doing right now, And then even Patrick, yes, my son, yes. Why? Because my son was born in 1991 and I was born in 66. And the technology to mind fuck people and give them brain damage and abuse them and have them distracted by sex and economics is radically different from the time that you're a child in 1991 as opposed to a child in 1966. Pick up sticks. I mean, anybody in their right mind that has half ounce of understanding of biology could explain that to you. You don't have to be a neuroscientist. You just have to go, oh. So if you give a kid alcohol from the time they're 3 and you give another kid alcohol by the time they're 17, if you stop giving them alcohol, the 17-year-old's still going to have better brain development and be able to function better than the 3-year-old that was given alcohol after you stop giving them alcohol for 5 years. So that 8-year-old's going to be a blithering idiot, and the 22-year-old's going to be like, okay, I'm going to rehab, right? Okay, so do you understand? And so, that's the severity of the brain damage of the technology since then. And so, it's a wonder half these kids. Some of these kids are just amazing. I talked to little Tony yesterday, and he's a good kid, and Robert. And they're not the Messiah, and they're the way they can be empathetic and care and focus. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's because of you. I get the fact that, I understand that I've altered technology radically since I've started posting on social media. And I've given people, even on a subconscious level, if they don't know who I am, a capacity to get their way to thinking like Jesus Christ and understand Jesus Christ better if they just focus on being a better person, living a better life, and not being stuck in this shit that we all know eternally through the beauty of the soul, not to accept the fuck. So I didn't see that. That's pretty cool, DT Suzuki. That makes me feel muy good. That makes me feel really like I'm having a proud moment there, proud papa moment there, So, and I have a lot of times a better time talking to the kids here locally than I do my own. But the concentration of abuse on my kids has been off the charts. And other people's kids, they don't consider them important, so they don't abuse the fuck out of them, because you can't concentrate as much abuse on other people's kids as you can on mine. It takes a lot of focus. You have to have these. The technology is getting better now because of me, not because of the people that invented it to keep us, fucked and fucking over their money and then say in the future this is what will happen. No. We'll talk more about the future and what to expect from the future and how to understand and expect a rational reality and a beautiful reality in the very near future. Okay, guys, I love you very much. We'll see how long it takes these the flying monkeys to load this one. And I'll get you my pretty, right? Okay, guys, I love you. Stay away from the bucket water, you crazy bitch, right? I love you, okay?